You're Chuck Schumer, damn right I'm dangerous.
We don't need lip service. Look, I'm not a celebrity candidate.
Al-Sayed versus Stevens, and so much more.
Outsider anti-establishment is exactly what we need right now.
I'm very frightened by what I see going on in the Democratic Party.
A Democratic family feud.
You can't keep going in the same direction if you keep losing.
A must-win Senate seat, and a big battleground state.
I honestly don't know right now.
A packed church basement on a steamy summer evening.
All right, friends, money out of?
The insurgent keeps it simple.
Try that one again. Money out of? Politics. Money in your? Pocket. Medicare for?
And he pulls no punches.
AIPAC shouldn't be able to dominate our politics. Corporations shouldn't be able to dominate our politics. Chuck Schumer should no longer be Senate leader for anything.
Abdul El-Sayed is 41, the son of Egyptian immigrants, the former Wayne County health director.
You know, I don't pay my taxes thinking, man, I can't wait for Israel to get another tank. I can't wait for Egypt to get another set of bombs.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Another church meeting hall, also just across the Detroit city line.
This is the best of Michigan.
Haley Stevens is 43, in her 4th term in Congress. Before that, worked for President Obama's Auto Industry Task Force.
The work that I was a part of when it mattered. You know, the work that we cannot forget.
No talk of revolution here. It is, yes, old school.
Big old rallies are nice things. I want to see who's in the neighborhood. I want to see who has pastor on speed dial, mayor on speed dial.
Promises to take on Trump, tax the rich, lower health care costs, but also talk that sometimes compromise brings progress. And a reminder, this is Purple Michigan. Stevens flipped a Republican-held seat to get to Congress.
I became the first pro-labor, pro-power of the people Democrat since before the moon landing to hold that seat.
The roots of this fight don't go back quite that far.
Michigan had a huge role in the first round of this insurgent versus establishment battle in the Democratic Party. That was a decade ago. The fight card, Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. Now, this state and this Senate race by far the most consequential test, as the revolution, that's what Sanders and his allies call it, tries to prove not only that it's back, but that it's bigger, deeper, stronger, and that this is its moment to remake the party. Mamdani in New York, a handful of blue congressional districts, Graham Plattner in Maine until he imploded. But this race is bigger. It's a 2026 midterm battleground Senate race the Democrats simply cannot afford to lose. And Michigan will have a huge role in both the nomination chase and the general election in 2028, when we pick the next president.
Yeah, first day of the strike.
First day.
Tonya Rincon worked the Ford assembly line for 30 years. Her initial Senate choice, quit the race.
So I'm all the way in for Abdul.
Rincon rejects the idea he's too liberal to win statewide. Her worry is what might happen if Al-Sayed loses the primary.
There are some young people that are falling in love, and I do worry that if Abdul doesn't win, they will be disenchanted, just like the Bernie Hillary kind of thing.
Nearly half of Michigan's population lives in Detroit and its close-in suburbs.
So this is Dearborn, suburban Detroit, majority Arab, and a big piece of why Vice President Harris lost here in 2024. She lost statewide by 80,000 votes just here in Dearborn. She got 15,000 fewer votes in 2024 than Joe Biden did when he won Dearborn and won Michigan in 2020. 15,000 votes in one small city. Why? Arab American voters mad then at Biden and Harris for what they thought was a green light to Israel and Gaza. Now those voters are mad at Trump. He's the president. Al-Sayed hopes to tap that anger. He says he will be their voice. He says he will stand up to Trump, who he calls a dumbass, who lets Israel run his foreign policy. And he says he'll also stand up to a Democratic establishment that he says is still beholden to AIPAC, the Pro-Israeli Political Action Committee. It's a huge issue in the Democratic Party right now and a giant defining issue in this race.
Walter Robinson Jr. lives in neighboring Dearborn Heights. Its population, 40% Arab. Affordability is by far Robinson's top issue. He is voting Al-Sayed because he's a union guy, and he trusts the United Auto Workers endorsement process.
There's a lot of people that feel like that the union shouldn't tell them what to do or how to vote. But like I said, connecting the ballot box to your bread box is vitally important.
Robinson doesn't agree with al-Sayed on everything, but he compares his constant attacks on the Democratic establishment to Donald Trump's insurgent takeover of the GOP a decade ago.
You have to do something different, and this might just be enough just to shake things up.
What's your favorite spot you've visited in Michigan so far?
Jade Gray is 22, just a year out of college, but she's worked as a Democratic organizer for 5 years and helped her first campaign at age 12 in 2016.
I think we're seeing two paths emerge for the Democratic Party, and this is going to be one of a few examples of where we're really headed.
Gray is from northern Michigan, Trump country. She predicts al-Sayed will do well in the primary there.
We are seeing the most engagement from Democrats than we've ever seen before in that area. Maybe this progressive mindset, this Medicare for all, money out of politics, isn't so radical and could work for us.
Gray takes al-Sayed's side of the Israel divide.
One is an AIPAC-backed candidate who is, unapologetically pro thank you Israel, and Abdul is against that.
She's very critical of Netanyahu.
Right, she's critical of Netanyahu. I appreciate that, but who she's funded by, I don't think walks that walk. I like seeing a candidate who's, unapologetically anti-Zionist.
Now we got it going.
Rob Lippitt is more than patient with a pickleball novice. And he is more than anxious about this primary.
I think they're creating litmus tests, suggesting that Israel shouldn't exist, or being unwilling, as al-Sayed is, to affirm the idea that Israel has a right to exist as a state, doesn't move us closer to peace.
Lippitt sees al-Sayed as part of a broader, troubling Democratic shift.
The socialist drift of the party and the hardline and somewhat radical positions that they take are not good for the state or good for the country.
He loathes Trump and wants a Democratic Senate. But Lippitt says he and many other Jewish voters will face a painful choice if al-Sayed wins the primary.
I think there are a lot of people that won't vote for al-Sayed.
Are you one of them?
Probably. I don't feel like the Democratic Party is a safe space.
Traverse City is along the spectacular Lake Michigan, population 16,000. Northern Michigan is mostly rural, in every way a long way from Detroit and its suburbs. Ashley Ayala lives in a town of 1,500 people, works for a nonprofit conservation group.
There we go.
These goats working one section at a time to clear rural land.
What do you want from the Democratic Party? What's missing?
Oh, I mean, there's a list of things. Where do I start?
We got all day.
Healthcare and childcare costs are her biggest stresses, and she likes what she hears from al-Sayed there. But Stevens has appeal too. Ayala thinks her experience might help get things done. Sometimes thinks her more moderate views might help in November, especially in rural areas like this.
When it comes down to pen to paper, it'll end up being who has a better chance at winning.
You're not sure who that is right now.
I don't. I have no clue.
Do you see yourself as kind of a referee, one of the referees, the voters, in kind of a Democratic civil war or family feud?
I've always been a referee my entire life. Yeah.
Ayala knows it's a giant choice for Michigan and beyond. And there's just a bit more time to chew it over. John King, CNN, Maple City, Michigan.